call to order this open council meeting of the Village of Ashcroft Council for Monday, March 23rd, 2020. Move that the agenda for the regular meeting of council held on Monday, March 23rd be adopted as presented.
Point of order.
No.
In light of the COVID state of emergency, would it be possible to have public input at the beginning of the meeting rather than at the end, so those in the gallery can leave right afterwards? It is in the new procedural bylaw that you will be passing tonight.
Right.
We're only taking it to third reading tonight.
Yeah, we're not passing it tonight, we're taking it to third reading.
Up to Mayor.
But is the rest of council staff comfortable with having the question period at the beginning?
Yep.
Okay, so we can move the question period 15 minutes to the beginning of the meeting.
Who seconded it, the adoption of the agenda? I'm sorry, I missed
Councillor
that.
Tui.
Thank you.
All right, so we will move into question period.
I'm going to read a lot because I don't think I'll get through in 15 minutes, but because I've got a little bit of feedback to you. So I'm just going to go through the agenda and ask questions for each of the items.
Okay.
Or input for some of the items is input, some are questions. So 3.1 minutes of the regular meeting, March 9th, 2020. There was there was a motion to file and receive information, and one of that information was for the Dog Park Committee. And I just want to acknowledge that the members of the Dog Park Committee spent a considerable amount of time, effort, and commitment in researching, consulting, presenting information and options for a viable dog park for the community. Council only voted to receive and file the information and did not even extend a courtesy letter with respect to their dedication. And I would ask that they do so and proceed with action on establishing a dog park without a volunteer group. I believe it's been on the books for close to 10 years and 3 different councils. 3.2 regarding the COVID-19 actions, the special meeting. I'm just wondering about the isolation of the Guatemalan workers at Desert Hills Market. I see that there's quite a few of them there now. What are the requirements for farm workers traveling into the community? I don't know if they've respected the 14-day isolation or not, and they are working in close proximity to each other.
Right, as far as I know, I can't speak to that, but I believe this would be a matter for a higher level of government than our municipal government, because we have no control over that. Any foreign workers, temporary foreign workers who are being allowed in the country do have a requirement to self-isolate for 14 days after they arrive. So that would be up to the employer to ensure that that is taking place.
Thank you. 9.1, the economic development strategy and tourism strategy, that one. I just wanted to make some comments, and I know you're going to be voting on this today, so I hope that you'll look at my suggestions. The economic development strategy of 2015 had 39 recommendations. This one has 34 recommendations. Many of the ones in the 2015 Economic Development Strategy are similar to the recent Economic Development and Tourism Strategic Action Plan, and I ask that Council make sure to add any of those which are not in the new plan to be added. In addition, some specifics, so I'll go through just certain ones, and you can just make notes if you wish or not. Action 13, and this is, I think, on the implementation. I'm sorry, I don't have the page number of these, and it's very hard for me to look on my
It's page
iPad.
79 of the agenda. The Economic Development / Tourism website, destination ashcroft.ca.
It says something about Ashcroft launching a new village website in 2019. Destination Ashcroft website, is that the one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so Ashcroft launched its new village website in 2019, and I'm just wondering if the Destination Ashcroft website will be in addition to the one we currently have, or will it replace the one we have?
CFO Bella?
Your Worship, all these recommendations will be looked at, but then we'll decide what we're going to do with them. And I think some of the technical feedback, we won't replace our website with a new destination because it doesn't make sense given how Google and everything else works. We've been working on the tourism website and need to populate more photos and get that integrated. So we're not looking at creating a whole destination one, because that doesn't make sense given the current technological environment, how people access and how people come to them.
Action 21, the revitalization program. There have been 2 new businesses, Sam's Diner and the new gas station. There's been a new mobile home development that's across from the pool park, and a subdivision development in the Mesa developed in the 27 years that I've lived here that I can remember. And not a single development has been required to add sidewalks. In fact, as I recall, the mobile home development across from the pool started to add a sidewalk and did on one side, but then they complained about it, and the council at the time relaxed the requirement to have a sidewalk down the side parallel to the school, the pool park. Now a new subdivision in North Ashcroft is being developed, and I hope that council will review its zoning bylaw as well as look at the new subdivision bylaw to ensure that sidewalks or pathways are always required in front of any new development. Mayor Roden, when you asked me to survey people's interest in pathways, many people stated that they hoped a pathway all the way up Government Street would be created. And with this new subdivision being developed, this is a prime opportunity to realize this. So I just wanted to add that, that little comment regarding adding pathways in that revitalization section. In Action 23, residential attraction, this goes as well with added pathways. There are no actions for this on the plan on Action 23, residential attraction. I think they would defer to another year is what they're saying. And I would ask council to develop, develop a trails master plan on this to encourage the walkability and accessibility in the community. Again, these are just suggestions you're going to be looking at anyway. They're not actions that you'll actually take necessarily. Action 25, the healthcare recruitment. I would ask that you look at adding an action to expand healthcare initiatives, for example, ultrasound and other technical or laboratory services, just as something to promote our brand, Wellness Awaits You, and I think we could easily do that. We have a good hospital and facility in order to do that. I would also look into an action to repurposing the hospital facilities to maximize the use of the hospital. Also, for example, the use of the kitchen to be used as a community kitchen. In Action 26, broadband promotion on the action plan, I would ask that you add an action to encourage home-based businesses and industries, especially in light of what has transpired with COVID-19 crisis, which could easily happen again with the speed at which viruses can mutate. So if you add encouraging home-based businesses, you would want to encourage that broadband as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
In 9.3, carbon offset purchases, the village currently looks at option number 3, making carbon offset purchases rather than the other 2. And I would ask that the village at some time in the near future look at option 1 and 2, which would encourage innovation and investment in energy alternative projects rather than just buying our carbon offset. And finally, burning, 9.5, the burning bylaw. I would encourage council not to adopt the option to deal with yard waste by, I would encourage the council to adopt the option to deal with yard waste by chipping and composting rather than by burning. This was a very controversial issue in the past. And by allowing burning, we are taking a step backwards in time. It's unhealthy, smoldering, because most of the yard waste piles are leaves and not seasoned debris, very wet. There's pollutants. Some people may take the opportunity to add things that they shouldn't be in their piles, and toxins and plastics are even burned inadvertently. It's hard on people with respiratory problems as well. So I find that burning is unhealthy. It's not good for the environment. It contributes to global warming. It can result in fires of homes if the wind actually picks up and fires get out of control. I also read on Facebook that Councillor Anstead implied that backyard campfires would now be allowed or be worked on in this bylaw. And I just want to confirm if campfire burning is part of the consideration for this new bylaw.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your indulgence.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, ask a question? Can you please email that to me? Because you spoke really, really fast and there's no way I caught all of that.
Me as well, please.
Sure. All right, so thank you very much. So we go back to the future, or something, and we go to the minutes of the regular meeting of council held Monday, March 9th. We've had that moved and seconded. Were there any errors or omissions? No? All right. On the question then, Councillor Davenport, unless I hear you say something, I'll assume you're in favor, if that is all right with you.
That's fine, thank you, yes.
Okay, wonderful. So all those in favor, opposed, carried. Minutes of the special meeting of council held Wednesday, March 18th. I move that they be adopted as presented. Second, Councillor Toohey. And are there any errors or omissions? No, on the question, then all those in favor, opposed, carried. We have no delegations. We move on to correspondence. We have one piece for action. That is 98.3 Star FM Road Trip Adventure. And I would like to move that we go ahead with taking part in the road trip adventure for 2020 at a cost of approximately $3,100 plus tax. Do I have a seconder? This is, I think, the third year we've taken part in this.
Third year.
Third year. You seconding, Councillor Anstead? Thank you. All right, so this is the third year we've taken part in this, and I think that it has been very positive in the past. We've had a lot of good feedback. It is excellent exposure in a large market, and I think that this year it would be good to promote Ashcroft as a place to get away to, somewhere clean, friendly, small, lots to see and do. I think capitalize on the fact that probably a lot of people this year will be doing more in the staycation line than perhaps in the past. So I think if we can get Ashcroft's name out there as, you know, a good place, you know, for your travel plans, you know, stay close to home but go somewhere different. And it is quite a good deal considering what we spend for what we get in terms of exposure. Any comments? Councillor Toohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I'm just wondering how soon we have to pay this, and is it refundable if we are not able to move forward with it?
I was going to add the caveat that a lot of things are probably subject to change at very short notice. So it could be, obviously depending on the situation with whether there's lockdown shelters in place, this could be something that doesn't go ahead. So I think that when we talk to them, it would be, you know, all right, you know, in principle, we're agreeing to it, but we just need to make sure that if something falls through, we can both walk away with no penalties.
Yes, then I would be in agreement with it. I just don't want to put out the money and
No.
then not be able to get it back because we can't have people come to our community.
Right.
May I just mention, so in the last 3 years, the dollars that has been spent from this is all have come out of the economic development capacity funding. So just keep in mind that if, although the cost of the advertising itself is $3,100, that's only the advertising itself. That doesn't include the 2 trips we provide a trip for the hosts and their accommodations and their experience, and we have to provide the matching trip as a donation that they raffle off. I don't know that we've allocated that specifically in the economic development capacity funding, so just so that council's aware.
Right.
And Your Worship, if I may, certain parts are covered, certain parts economic NDIT does not cover, such as meals, and that comes out of the village share.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Davenport?
Just wondering if there was a known deadline. I see that here it says tentative. And it would be interesting to note or know what their deadline is to either postponing it or canceling it, and that might help with our, you know, whether we we know when the deadline for money is, I suppose.
COD?
If I may, I did speak with Nick Seguin, who is one of the hosts and organizer of the program, to see if they were moving forward at this time. And at this time, they haven't canceled anything, but it is definitely up in the air. That said, they have no qualms about, there not being any penalties if
Right,
it's all canceled. Yeah,
Okay.
there shouldn't be any liability to the village.
thank you. Any other questions or comments? On the motion then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. And we have some items for information as well as the information correspondence listing. What is council's pleasure on this? Councillor Dewey,
Well, I move that we receive and file.
thank you. Second, Councillor Anstead. Any comments on any of the items in the information listing? Councillor Dewey.
Thank you. I was quite excited to see that we had a woman manager at Highland Valley Copper.
Yes.
So I asked my daughter about that. I said, "Did you know?" And she says, "Yeah, Mom." But yeah, I think it's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
See women
In
doing
those-
things that weren't typically done
They didn't
in
used to
our
do.
day and age.
Any other comments on any of the other information correspondence? No? On the question, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. We have no unfinished business. We move on to new business. And where does this,
Oh, no, this is an item that was missed in the
Right, okay.
compiling of the agenda, so it's just to that
Okay.
report.
so council procedure bylaw number 834, third reading. So I would like to move that we give third reading to council procedure bylaw number 834. Councillor Toohey, thank you. All right, any further discussion on this? No? All right, on the question then, all those in favor, opposed, carried. On to section 9, staff reports. We have the economic development and tourism strategy and implementation matrix. Pages 53 to 104 in your agendas. Now, I know we did have, well, I will move that we adopt the economic development and tourism strategy and implementation matrix as presented. Second, Councillor Anstead. Thank you. I know that Ms. Mertens did ask about some items that were in the 2015 report to be added to this. I would suspect that anything from the 2015 report that was not included is either no longer relevant or has been covered to some extent, which is why they have not been included. So I would suspect that this document more accurately represents where Ashcroft is right now as opposed to where we were in 2015.
I agree.
Councillor Toohey?
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I think also these are recommendations.
Yes.
It's not things that we have to do.
No.
And things can be adjusted with suggestions and whoever's doing this at the time. So we would be able to have a little bit more discussion about it.
That's right, none of it is written in stone. Everything is subject to being tweaked or changed or massaged or whatever you want to say, however you want to phrase it. And as we've seen over the last few weeks, things can change very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So nothing here is not able to be changed. Any other comments, questions? No? All right. On the question then, all those in favor of the motion, opposed, carried. Oops. Item 9.2, NDIT Economic Development Capacity Funding. This was moved from a previous discussion for clarification on one point, which has been clarified. Thank you, CFO Bella. So I would like to move the recommendation.
A second?
Councillor Toohey, thank you. And CFO Bella, just to clarify, you wanted to ensure that NDIT was happy with us going forward with,
That's right. I talked
Part-time,
to someone at NDIT and they were doubtful. They'd expressed their doubts and I made sure that we made sure it was eligible and we could split it.
right, okay, thank you. Any discussion on this item? All right, on the question, then all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 9.3, purchase of carbon offsets on pages 110, 111. What is council's pleasure on this? Councillor Toohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I move that we go with the recommendation that the council approve the purchase of the offset credits as required by the province of British Columbia and the Climate Action Revenue Incentive Program through the offset organization Offsetters.
All right, thank you. And I'll second that. And CFO Bella.
Your Worship, part of the struggle this year for the numbers is that the province has implemented a new system which isn't quite functional at this moment. So we don't have accurate figures. We just got access last week, so we're having a training session on Thursday, and hopefully I'm able to proceed forward and calculate what is required. Any excess credits would be carried forward. I've talked to the company, so it would be carried forward to the next year. If we're short, we'll cover the difference. We have been carbon neutral over the last few years, and I'd like us to continue in the same vein, be carbon neutral. The other two processes were brought up earlier. Invest in GCC supported community emission reduction projects. The offset purchase is our Canadian projects we are purchasing. Also, the other two have certain restrictions where they define certain boundaries, which would A, make them more expensive, and two, not very feasible given our size of our village to do. So things like they talk about alternate community emission targets is waste, biomass, recycling, things like that, which are tend to work when you have larger centers, not smaller centers.
Not in smaller centers.
I do look for opportunities which could encourage innovation locally, but so far I haven't had success finding something.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion on this point? No? Seeing none, then on the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 9.4, budget request for assessment and legal in relation to Ashcroft Indian Band and water provision to the band from the village. I would like to move that council approve a budget of $26,000 in order to cover the costs of negotiations with the Ashcroft Indian Band regarding water provision.
Second up?
Second, Councillor Davenport. Any discussion on this?
Your Worship,
Civil Bella.
I'm talking a lot today.
That's okay.
Lots of different things. So there are two things to this. One is covering the assessment, whether our capacity is adequate to the village. So this is to reduce our risk. I'm asking our engineers to do a reassessment given our growth, whether we'd be able to cover, including a hotel potential hotel with what was, how many rooms was it? 48?
64.
64 rooms. So including that, so I would like that in place before we move forward with, our needs are covered. So that's what part of that budget is, and the other part is for legal fees.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none on the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 9.5, outdoor burning bylaw report, and I would like to move that discussion on this be deferred to a future council meeting. Councillor Anstead, thank you. And my thinking on this is that this is going to require considerable public consultation. This is not the time to be undertaking public consultation for obvious reasons. And so I think that until such time as the current situation has settled down and we are able to see a way forward, and when we know that we can confidently schedule public meetings, I think that would be the time to come back and revisit this. Councillor Toohey.
Thank you, Mayor Roden. I agree with that. I've had someone personally stop me recently about, this was one of the concerns, and I did confidently say to him, I am sure that we will have some public input into this, that it will not be just us making that decision. So I'm
No.
glad you said that. Phew.
Yes, no.
Because it is important, and I think we have to look at it and educate people on exactly what it is that we want to do, so that we can maybe come to a balance of what we would like to see because of the safety of removing a lot of the things around town that are a fire hazard.
Absolutely.
And come up with a solution for everything.
And I mean, I would also like to have time to investigate the implementation of a chipping and composting program.
Exactly.
As an alternative.
Yeah.
Which is certainly greener than burning things, which is a concern for a lot of people. So, all right, Councillor Toohey.
I just want to add to that. My husband has a chipper. He bought it last year and he loves to do it. So if anybody has some chipping that they want done, that is one of his fun things in life that he likes to do.
And I think that there's a chipper on the grounds of the legislature too, which is just sitting there doing nothing, so we could.
Oh, because who does that belong to? Isn't that one of the
all of us.
questions?
So, you know,
Oh, yeah.
as taxpayers of the province of BC.
Well, this one does belong to us.
Okay. As long as no one does a Fargo with it, I think I'm good with it. So, I thought you might get that. So on the question then, all those in favor, deferment, opposed, carried. Spring and fall cleanup. Yes, it is that time. And I think for this year, considering the deferral of the burning bylaw, I would like to move option 1, that council approve moving forward with the annual spring and fall yard cleanup for 2020.
I'll second that.
Councillor Toohey, and any discussion on this? I mean, we generally do it before, well, we generally do it to tie in with Easter when Easter's late, but what date do we have?
Your worship, usually, we have no date at this point in time, waiting for council, but usually it's the last full week after Easter.
CFO Bala?
Your worship, is there a desire of council for us to look at chipper costs and look at having that piece of equipment?
If it is feasible to look into that and get something here in time for that, I think that would certainly be an option. I have an old dead Christmas tree that's looking to be chipped. But no, for this year, do you mean, like for spring of 2020?
Well, we can start looking at it. I don't think we can do it at
Right,
quite
no.
that
get an idea.
speed, given all the other things which are going on. But we can start looking and exploring, and I can try squeezing it into carbon offset somehow.
We might not be able to purchase right away this year, but we could look at bringing someone in, a company in to do it. There are some that are in
Yeah.
the region.
Yeah.
That might be
Yes,
another
good
option.
idea.
Because we do have the cost of disposing of it now, right?
Still gotta dispose of it no matter what.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, but people would quite happily take chips, I would think.
Yeah.
But no, I think look into the cost of it, I think both for companies that will provide it for a 2-week period, for example, and what the cost would be to purchase one, if it's something that we felt that we would make enough use of. Foreman Benowith, what's your thoughts on a wood chipper?
Your worship, it is something that we've talked about and considered about and for going around, and it's kind of a bit of a gray area. It depends how it's set up and labor intensive it would take for the people to load the piles and stuff. There is talk about hauling it up and putting it in the yard and making chips. I don't know how well we're set up to receive that and to be able to do that.
Right. Okay, thank you. CFO Bella?
Your worship, just an idea occurring to me that, the cost of equipment comes down significantly if it's used more. And if TNRD as a regional can look at us all doing something of that nature and it goes from community to community, if that could be considered as well, like just thinking outside the box for alternatives, because it's something which the whole set of communities might be able to utilize.
Right. Okay. Well, I think for this year, because of the just not being able to get anything in place, either whether it's a chipper, whether it's a burning bylaw, I think we need to move forward and carry on the status quo for this year.
Yeah.
And then that gives us time to explore a full range of options. Okay. Any further discussion, comments? No. On the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. And item 9.7, social media regarding the Ashcroft pool. Okay. All right, I'd like to move that council approve the development of a social media policy for the Ashcroft pool.
Second that?
Thank you, Councillor Davenport. Okay, I think this is a great idea. I know that a lot of the special events, especially, it's great to have the schedule, a lot of people depend on that, but a lot of the special events that come up, and I know that they sometimes, like on the Wednesday night fun nights that they have and things like that, to be able to get it out there what the theme is and the times, and it might change, and special events that come up, I think that's a great idea. To be on social media and get that promoted out there. And beyond our community as well, because people in other communities around us might be looking for something to do on, say, a Wednesday, or when we're having a special event. It would be a great way of letting people who would not normally see our schedules here or be in Ashcroft to pick one up to go, oh, hey, look what's going on at the pool this weekend. Councillor Toohey?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm wondering, do we have to have something for parents to sign if their children are in pictures, or how does that work? Because I know they do for schools.
Schools are different. Pools are classified, as far as I know, as being a public place. And so when you are in a public place, there is a reasonable expectation that you might be photographed.
Okay.
Whether it's by a member of the public or whether it's by someone, say, from the staff at the pool taking pictures. So the rules are different from schools.
Okay.
Certainly, we do need to be respectful, and I think that would be an aspect of training the staff, would be just to let them know that if you are out there taking pictures, just, if there are parents around, it doesn't hurt to just let people know, I'm taking pictures, or I will be taking pictures in 10 minutes.
Putting them on Facebook.
And they, we're going to put them up on, we might use them in the newsletter, they might go up on Facebook.
Perfect.
And then anyone who's not comfortable with it can make their own decisions without putting them on the spot, or
Yeah.
putting the onus on them to say, oh no, I don't want my picture taken, or I don't want my children's picture taken.
Yeah. Okay.
Any further discussion? No, on the question, all those in favor, opposed, carried. Item 9.8, COVID update, which I think is probably completely out of date by now, even though it was only printed. Yes. No, this is, very fluid situation. All right, so, CEO Dick, do you have any further information here? I've got a couple of things to add.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
Where to start?
Where to start. So we have closed, as of today, we've closed our park, our playgrounds at the park, to the public. Just a lot of other municipalities are doing that as well, and we thought there's no way we can keep them disinfected and clean. So to remove that risk and liability to the village, there's yellow caution tape around them. At this point in time, the grassy areas are open, so families can kick a ball, do whatever, and still be able to get out into the parks and enjoy those. Oh my goodness, hold on, I don't even know what's on that report anymore. Staff is continuing, we've closed the office, I think since that report. That started today, effective as of today. We've got one of our employees is struggling with the cleansers that we've been using, so she's going to be working from home or coming in after hours. We're just trying to be flexible with schedules. Our public work's the same. We're trying to make sure that our social distancing is in place, that they're protected, but also that they're meeting, following Dr. Bonnie Henry's orders, and that we're trying to be as compliant as possible while providing all of our services. Oh, other than that, what else have we got on here? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else. I'm sure there are other things as soon as we're done that I will think of, but perhaps Mayor remembers.
Okay, CFO Bala.
Your Worship, I just wanted to say the community has been good in usually following the orders, but there are instances of people getting together which have come to light, so I'd like to reiterate that they do not organize. We are taking away keys or insisting that village facilities not be used for any gatherings. There was a case over the weekend, which by chance, since came by and noticed something, so that was taken care of as well. So I'm hoping the public does be conversant of this and not disobey the health officer's recommendations. Parks are open, as the CEO said, for families to use. Be conscious if there's more than a few people that you keep your social distance. Do activities which don't spread, but do use the parks. I have two young kids, and they're busy using the park, like kicking the ball around, throwing the basketball, activities which are not, adding to the risk. So kids cannot stay cooped up too long. So we do have lots of spaces outdoors, and it's something we can use, but overall the community needs to be taking this seriously.
Okay, thank you. I took part in a conference call today between mayors, regional district chairs, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, and the Solicitor General, Minister Farnworth. And one of the things that came out of that is that the province is going to be issuing several ministerial orders over the next few days pertaining to things that will basically give them more control. So one of the first things they're doing is they're going to be taking over the shipment of goods, people, and services, the coordination of the shipment of goods, people, and services around the province, whether it be by road, rail, or air, because something that is starting to come to light is some of the more northern and remote and rural communities are finding serious disruptions to their supply chains, as suppliers prefer to stay or they don't have enough. I've heard a lot of instances of orders, a store will order something and the order comes in half. They're shorted by half their order. So I think the province is seeing this getting worse as things happen to the supply chain, so they want to ensure that northern and rural, remote communities are not shortchanged at the expense of, southern communities don't get more. Something I expect to see coming down is superseding all the states of local emergency that have been declared and giving all municipalities more power to enforce if they see a business open that should not be, or they see people not doing social distancing or self-isolating if they need to be. but we're still waiting for direction on what that is going to look like. And I was speaking to Gary McIsaac, who's the executive director of UBCM today, and he was on the phone call as well, took away much of what I did, and UBCM is writing to the province to try and get clarification about this as quickly as possible, so that communities, municipalities can know what this is going to look like on the ground, what enforcement powers do you have. I also spoke with Constable Gothic, who is the acting detachment commander here in Ashcroft, about an instance that came to my attention or was brought to my attention. He has dealt with it. But he and Mayor Tallarico and Cache Creek and myself are going to be in contact. They're having daily briefings as well at the RCMP. So we're going to be, the three of us are going to get in touch as like a round table thing, by electronically obviously, just to update on what's happening in the communities, what steps are being taken, safety and public safety issues that we see as concerns. Constable Gothic indicated that you know, they are there to help out and to be a presence in the community. One of the things they're going to be doing is the traffic. We have two members on traffic right now. And one of them is going to be, when he gets back from Clinton, he's helping out there because they're down because of people being on vacation. Just doing more patrols through the community in a cruiser. Just to let people know that the police are still out there, to reinforce that, you know, to be reassuring. That you know, everything, we're still keeping an eye out, etc. So those are my updates.
I just wanted to add to that, that was one of the things that we actually noticed in our community, living downtown. My husband said, I don't know what's going on, but there's a lot more police around. So we're definitely noticing a lot more police presence in the community. And I said, well, there's nothing going on the highways, you know? You know, there's a lot less, so they can be more seen.
That's right. One of the concerns that's coming up when I spoke with Mayor Christian in Kamloops yesterday, and when I spoke with Constable Gothic today, is that the directives, as more and more businesses close down, and while some, such as the bakery for now, are able to still be open with people inside, a lot of business and offices are just shutting. The lights are turned off, the door's locked, there's no one in there. And the concern is that this does present more of a target for thieves, would-be burglars, etc. Now, obviously, it's more of a concern in Kamloops because they do have drug and gang issues that we do not have here, but still. Just as people are coming to our small communities to get toilet paper, they might come to our small communities thinking it's going to be easier pickings, perhaps, than somewhere else. So that's just something that's on everyone's radar. So thank you for this, and we will continue to update the website and the post office, putting notices up there as well. And I also told Constable Gothic that if he had anything that he wanted us to include in our notices, anything sort of quasi-governmental, like the school district, for example, or the RCMP, that if they had a specific message they wanted to get out, we would be happy to put that on anything we were putting out, just to spread it even more. All right, move on to council reports. I have a council report, which is extra special because I didn't have one for the previous meeting, so there we go. Anyone have any questions? Nope, great, okay.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, we move on. And Councillor Toohey.
Thank you. I must admit, my brain has not been totally on council, and with business and having been sick and all these different things, I really would like to be giving a report, and I've been reluctant on that. But I just wanted to mention a couple of things because I was at the Hub meeting, and the Hub is working towards doing a dog park. So that's one thing that's on their agenda. So hopefully the people that were working on that previously will be able to start working with the new group. They have a few other projects that hopefully I'll get into my next report. There's some good things happening, but of course that was before all of this happened as well. So, you know, things change daily. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anything else? We have item 11.1, resolutions released from closed meetings. So that was the minutes of the special meeting on March the 18th. We've already had question period. So, although since he's waited here so patiently, do you have any questions for the Hubble
Well,
line now?
what was, just because I don't have the full agenda in front of me, what was the special council meeting on March 18th about?
That was about the COVID update, and at that meeting, we rescinded third reading of the procedures bylaw so that we could now add the new section dealing with extraordinary circumstances and electronic participation, and then give it third reading again. So,
That's it.
here we go, okay. Move to take this meeting into closed session under Community Charter, section 90.1. Second, Councillor Toohey, all those in favor, opposed, carried.